All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you guys had a fantastic holiday. I spent my time with family and then played Baldur's Gate 3 for like 9 hours a day the last few days. It's been nice, but we're back. I wanted to make a video talking about this trailer that we got for Pioneer called The Codex of Tartarus. If you guys don't know what Pioneer is, quick recap. It's an MMO FPS that is set in a fantasy stalker metro, but like more fantasy style post-apocalyptic world. There's a playlist on my channel if you're interested in seeing everything about this game. Basically, we learned a lot more about the in-game loop and the world of Pioneer. So, the world that we're playing in is called the Island of Tartarus. It's a landscape ravaged by disaster that is split into two parts. The left side of the island is where people have established settlements, trade routes, and conflicts, but this is where the main storyline unfolds and PvE locations are situated. This is also where you're going to be starting the game as a new player. They say that this area is more akin to an adventure game and less about your typical MMO experience. In this video, we also got our first glimpse at the progression trees with some very strange art for the abilities. I just have to say that it kind of threw me off a bit. It just doesn't look like the character art here like fits this gritty, dark world, but whatever. We do have skill trees in the game and what also looks like controller UI, which means at the very least, this game could be controller friendly. We also get a look at our inventory system, and you can see over here there is a durability bar for gear, meaning repairs most likely exist, and you can see things go from common to greens to blues. So this is your typical RPG like MMO system. The next part of the video is interesting to me because the narrator says this.
Just like certain monster slayer, a skillful character in Pioneer needs two guns, one for killing monsters and another for punishing teammates or, rarely, other players.
Now, the term rarely here is kind of important. When we talk about the right side of the island later on in this video, you'll see why. We also got a look at the weapon upgrading system where you're going to spend resources to level up weapons. This isn't a system like Tarkov, but it's something that I actually haven't seen before. I'd almost call it a hybrid weapon crafting system. So you have your workbench where you spend resources to upgrade weapons. You can also upgrade things like taking submachine guns to full-on machine guns using this system. But then you also have on-the-fly customization where you can throw parts on like scopes, muzzle brakes, different magazines. We've seen this system before, but those also increase your stats even more. I think with this hybrid like on-the-fly and then the upgrade like workbench, you're gonna have a pretty in-depth weapon upgrading system. And in order to get unique blueprints and parts for your weapons, you need to head to the right side of the island. Now, the right side of the island is split into two regions, the Midlands and the Shadowlands. No, not that one. I really can't handle any more dailies. But these two territories are home to PvPvE zones and clan wars, according to this video. There are no quests, and the monsters here are much more dangerous, on top of other players roaming the areas looking for loot. So this is where you're gonna lose your gear and everything on you if you end up dying. The video makes mention of joining clan members to seize production points in the area. They don't really go in depth with this system, but it looks like there are things to do in larger groups that may help you get rare loot. I'm not quite sure what the point of all of that is, but I do like the idea of giving clans and groups something to strive for on top of that solo kind of like smaller group experience. The video makes mention of raids and world bosses as well, which is just so fucking cool. Honestly, I'd say I'm way more interested in the PvE elements of this. Just jumping in, raiding, and playing co-op kind of has me intrigued. The PvPvE is very cool, but as I grow older, I just want experiences to play with my friends without having to sweat every fucking time I load up into the game. Let me know which mode interests you guys more and why, PvE or PvPvE. And that basically wraps the video trailer for Pioneer. What's very cool is these guys are blending elements of PvE co-op into a PvPvE area for survival and extraction fans, while also, I would say, hopefully giving PvE fans enough meat to chew on for content. The big concern here is obviously, like, can they pull this off? It seems like a very ambitious project, and it has a lot of promise based on the trailers we've seen, but it could also be the day before cheeky breaky edition. Who really knows for sure? On top of that, my big concern is the avoidance of committing to Steam. I've seen a few conversations online where people have asked the devs if it will be available to either wishlist or purchase on Steam, and they have skirted the question every time. Even in past interviews, they won't commit, and I'm starting to wonder if this is a BSG type of thing where they want their own website, their own launcher, and they want the 30% that they would have given to Lord Gaben, or is there a potential Epic Game Store exclusivity deal on the table, which honestly I wouldn't mind, but I also know the vast majority of PC gamers still refuse to use that platform, meaning the player base wouldn't be there and the game would just most likely die. I'm leaning towards the former here, which honestly wouldn't bother me if they wanted to go with their own website, their own launcher, keep their own fucking 30% cut, say fuck Steam. What bothers me there is the difficulty of getting refunds if the game isn't what it says it is. At least, you know, in comparing it to the potential of the day before, you could refund it, and Steam is offering refunds to everybody there. If these guys choose their own website, you're kind of shit out of luck. Regardless, this game was set to launch at the end of this year, which obviously isn't happening, meaning a 2024 launch is most likely what the devs are now shooting for. And in a year where Stalker and games like Grayzone Warfare are both set to release, I do feel like Pioneer does a lot of things that separates itself from other shooters in the genre. And for me, after missing out on Fallen Earth as a kid, this feels like a second chance for that post-apocalyptic MMO FPS experience, and I'm all here for it, and my god, do I hope that this game turns out alright. Leave a like on the video, subscribe for more FPS content, and leave your thoughts down below. My name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.
Tartarus, a miserable island overcome by disaster. Your depths hold rotten legacy of hopes we left there long ago. Now you are an open wound, infested and endangering life itself. That's where we will bring our people. We will follow our way to preserve everything still left. The expedition will carry on. Tartarus can be nominally divided into two parts. The left one is where people have established their settlements. New communities appear there, as well as new trade routes and conflicts. This is where the main storyline unfolds, and PvE locations are situated. You will start here. This part of Pioneer is an adventure game with minimum MMO elements. We put a lot of efforts in our level design and use the best practices of narrative in dialogues. Moreover, we've created a special game mode where other players cannot interfere with you or your party playing. Oh yes, quests can be completed single-handedly or with friends. You can even have a dialogue with an NPC as a party. Explore the regions and gather info about the world and its mysterious past. Rest in any of the settlements, spending time in bars or playing mini-games. Trade for resources and try to gather as much as you can. Pioneer has progression levels, and after each level up, you get one skill point to spend on upgrading your character. This can make playing easier, but without creating builds, you won't have that big of an advantage on the battlefield. Yes, your armor and weapons itself are quite more important. Upgrading and efficiently using your equipment is what actually shows your progress through the game.
Чё, ты выпендривались? Нечего было выёживаться.
Just like certain monster slayer, a skillful character in Pioneer needs two guns, one for killing monsters and another for punishing teammates or, rarely, other players. You can enhance your weapons or modify your equipment on the workbench, but every step of it consumes resources. Weapons can be modified more comprehensively by upgrading a submachine gun to a machine gun, for example, or by just adding modules which increase your weapon stats on the move. Upgrading the most interesting and powerful equipment demands unique blueprints and resources. And that's the catch. The rarest of the loot can be found only on the right part of the island. The right part of the Pioneer Island consists of two regions, the Midlands and Shadowlands. These territories are home to PvPvE zones and clan wars. The gameplay here feels more like survival. Another player encountered here is likely to be an enemy, and the local creatures are decidedly more dangerous and ferocious. These two regions lack quests and are much less forgivable with regard to the players. You can lose all the resources you've spent time and effort gathering. At the same time, your death in a regular PvE zone will cost you just some polish on your equipment and a little bit of your pride. Your typical gameplay on the right part of the island looks something like this. You're gathering resources or joining your clan members to seize the production point. When you've gathered enough, you're trying to reach a safe zone using one of the suggested paths. Along the road, you're exploring some more unexplored places. Also, there are no guides on the right part of the island, so no fast travel for you. By the way, fast travel in Pioneer is possible with the help of the guides only. In addition to PvP, MMO fans will enjoy our raids and world bosses adapted to the realities of MMO FPS. After all, it would be fun to see how familiar activities look in unfamiliar conditions, wouldn't it? Pioneer is a unique experiment. The further you delve into the depth of the island, the more the game transforms, transitioning from a role-playing adventure to an intense survival experience. We'd love to tell you more, but unfortunately, we'll have to do it in due time.